Hello everyone and welcome back to game week 3 of the 2024-25 Optegra Championship, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, and WFA chairperson Dean Williams for Villa, Rockets, Lions and Nottingham Forest. Let's go through the squads very quickly and then we'll talk about how the fixtures have been this opening day, preview tomorrow and bring you the action live. Villa, Rockets, Lions comprised of Nicky Baker, Thomas Marshall, Mason Hindley, Naglis Montvillas, Sam Turner and Dan Bull. Their coach, Brad Bates. And Nottingham Forest, their challengers, comprised of number 11, Gary Meakin, number 13, Jack Bosanquet, number 18, Riley Priestley, number 24, Finley Cooper, and number 26, Ben Rogers. Their coach, Steve Priestley. Dean, how are you?
Hello, Ryan. How you doing? I'm very well. Hello to everybody that's listening in as well. Good to be back. Championship football.
Yeah, what a day it's been. I have not left this chair all day. I've done, what we're on the 6th or 7th game of the day. And I've had the pleasure of commentating the action on Court B all day. And the quality of football just never ceases to amaze me. And we're seeing one of the best, if not the ultimate best, championship season ever. And that sentiment and statement can probably be applied to the Premiership as well. The sky is the limit at the moment, and what a season it's been. And of course, we have to give a huge shout out to Optegra Eye Healthcare, who are on board as the official sponsors of both the Premiership and Championship division. It's their support that's putting power chair football on the pedestal, putting it on the map and creating more opportunities for players across the country. So really excited to see where the season goes and beyond that. That, of course, will start with this game. Villa, Rockets, Lions against Nottingham Forest. Two teams fighting towards different ends of the standings. But one thing is for certain, nothing is a formality in this division. You can almost disregard table placement, because we've seen anyone can challenge anyone else, whether you're 1st or 12th. Villa, Rockets, Lions will have aspirations of that 3rd place playoff, assuming that the 1st and 2nd race is almost wrapped up already. Muscle Warriors and GBG Knights already have a comfortable cushion over their closest rivals in 3rd, that of Manchester United, currently competing against Hull and East Yorkshire on Court A, kind of a replica of the earlier cup game in the Jonga Group WFA Cup 2nd round. An early chance for Naglis Montvillas. The Republic of Ireland international there just ricochets off the left-hand post. But a win here for Villa Rockets would certainly boost their chances of securing that 3rd place playoff. Depending on the result of Manchester United, they would and could potentially go up to 3rd if they're able to better the result of Manchester United.
It's tight, isn't it there? Just looked at that myself, very tight.
Dan Bull fired into Ben Rogers. Let me just go through the team lineups as they sit. For Villa, Rockets, Lions, the designated goalkeeper is that of Nicky Baker. In the centre, Mason Hindley. On the left, as you're viewing it currently, well, just as they switch, is now Dan Bull. Naglis Montvillas on the right. And for Nottingham Forest, Jack Bosanquet, Ben Rogers, Gary Meakin and Finley Cooper. As Montvillas fires it into the box. Good clearance by Ben Rogers into Finley Cooper. 1-2 exchange, sets them away. Not quite sure if he's aware of the placement of the ball. The frustration shows on his face as it ricochets out for a Villa Rockets Lions kick in.
fetching kit that Villa Rockets Lions
I've
have
had a
got?
few people comment on it. It's very unique, very
Yes.
nicely designed.
Not seen them wear it before, I don't
No,
think.
the first time I've certainly watched them in that kit. This the second game of the day for both Villa and Forest. Forest suffering a 2-0 defeat to joint league leaders Muscle Warriors earlier. 2-0. Far from disappointing when you're considering the placement of both teams. Villa Rockets Lions picking up some real pace and momentum as Dan Ball's going to try and squeeze the ball between Gary Meakin and Jack Bosanquet. They were able to secure a 1-0 win over Sale United. 2-on-1 signalled by our central referee Mark Kerrison, who's complemented by Caroline Goldsborough and Jeff Lewis. I don't think you could get a more experienced officiating lineup than the one present on Court B. So an indirect free kick for Villa Rockets Lions. Mason Hindley has to go via a teammate or fire it off an opponent for this to be registered as a goal, but a good opportunity nonetheless. Disappointing. Montvillas unable to capitalise, but credit owed to Ben Rogers for just limiting the space to let that ball roll out of play. This the penultimate game of the day on Court B, the final being Sale United against AFC Bournemouth Warriors. Following that, we will be conducting the third round draw of the 24-25 Jonga Group WFA Cup, which is the introduction of the Premiership team. So there's a lot of buzz and anticipation around the Lee Westwood Sports Centre currently. So being a north-south divide still, we will determine 4 fixtures in the north, 4 fixtures in the south, and the winners of those fixtures will progress to our quarter-final and semi-final showcase day at the Derby Arena on May the 11th.
And to echo those sentiments about the actual buzz and excitement about the draw, right? I've had several requests of, can you please make sure we are not paired with this team or that team, which of course I have no control over whatsoever.
No, absolutely not. It's a completely live draw. There'll be no none of that going on. No influence on our behalf. The balls that are drawn from the pot will determine the fixtures. I'm really excited. I think we showed last year what's possible with the WFA Cup. Of course, thank you to John Good Group, because they've just elevated our domestic cup competition to a level I don't think many thought was attainable, certainly on the timescales we're working on. They came in as a national cup competition sponsor in 23-24, and since have extended for 24-25 and 25-26. If you thought last year was impressive, you wait to see what's in store for this season, and likewise, probably even more so. Some of the conversations we're having about 25-26, beyond exciting. We already host one of the largest impairment-specific cup competitions for football anywhere in the world. So it's a real jewel in our crown, the WFA Cup.
I can confirm that Adam Walsh, CEO of John Good Group, is in the building, ready to conduct the draw with me.
Very exciting. Fairly closely contested opening 6.5 minutes. Nottingham Forest, this is probably the most presence they've had in the Villa half as Montvillas looks to break. Closely observed by senior England international Brad Bates, the Villa Rockets Lions coach. They have 2 options on the bench, 2 very good options at that, in Thomas Marshall and Sam Turner. So they've got some nice strength in depth. Dan Ball to Mason Hindley. Over to Montvillas, some really nice passing patterns in the final third. A potential break on for Gary Meakin, puts it into the path of Finley Cooper. He wasn't quite ready to capitalise. Had he continued to reverse, he would have definitely caught up to that ball. So he's just having a conversation with Steve Priestley, the Forest coach. Mason Hindley breaks away. Montvillas blocked by Ben Rogers. Should there be any goals on court A between Hull and East Yorkshire and Manchester United, we will ensure you are given them. Currently deadlocked at 0-0, as is this one on court B. Into Mason Hindley. Bypasses Gary Meakin. English Montvillas to take. This fixture yet to really spring into life. Just waiting for that real moment of magic. There's players on the court that can do that, I have no question. I've been so impressed with Nottingham Forest this season. A team that have struggled over the last 3, 4, 5 seasons have just got this new lease of life and have this collective chemistry now, which they haven't necessarily shown in years gone by. Of their 11 games played, factoring in this 0-0 scoreline, they have 8 points, which, when you're considering how they've fared in seasons gone by, as the ball just rolls over the line, curse of the commentator. It's a set piece that ricocheted off Mason Hindley into the back of the net. You just get confirmation of that goal. But as I was going to go on to say, the developments they're exhibiting, certainly when compared to the 23-24 season, where they finished on 4 points across the entirety of the season. So already this season they've got nearly double that of their 22 league in 23-24. And then if you factor the 22-23 season into that, they finished on 1 point. So they've already accrued more points this season than the last 2 or 3 combined, which hopefully speaks to that development. Villa Rockets Lions, as already stated, will have strong aspirations of finishing third, so they would definitely be considered favourites for this one. And breaking the deadlock is what Brad Bates would have expected. It maybe took longer than they would have wanted. But now it's interesting to see how Forest adapt and what their game plan is. Single substitute for them in Riley Priestley.
And that goal, with it being a stalemate on the other court at this moment in time, right there, point off third. Villa Rockets Lions.
Yeah, shows how significant it is, and I believe that they have a game in hand on the 2 teams above them, as or the 2 teams around them.
They do.
So a win here could be really crucial for their season. They started the 24-25 campaign fairly slowly, struggled in game week 1, but since then they have developed, they have grown as a unit, and have been one of the most impressive teams in the division, as Naglis Montvillas tries to squeeze the gap the ball between the gap of the Forest defence. Had a substitute. First of the game, Riley Priestley coming on. Gary Meakin, the player, departing. Fortunate placing of Jack Bosanquet prevents that backward shot of Ben Rogers going into his own net.
Oh. Close.
So goal kick for Nottingham Forest. Jack Bosanquet to take into Ben Rogers. Mason Hindley intercepts. Happy to let that roll out of play. Goal kick awarded.
Big chance there a few moments ago for Ryan for Montvillas. Just narrowly wide, but at 2-0 you think that's going to get, although completely agree with what you said, there's a resilience about Nottingham Forest which hasn't perhaps been there as much in previous seasons, but 2-0 would have been a big mountain, I think, to come back from.
Anyone that was present during game week 2 of the season will know how significant it was for Nottingham Forest. They secured a historic win over Manchester United, their 3rd win in 5 seasons in the presence of Carol and Stuart Pearce. What a fantastic day that was. But as mentioned, only their 3rd win in 5 seasons. 2 of which have come in the 24-25 Optegra Championship. So with it being so closely contested at the bottom as well, they will just be hoping they're not drawn into that playoff structure. And whilst there's no direct jeopardy in the Championship in way of relegation, it's determined by how many regional-based teams state a preference or put their name into consideration for being one of the 12 Championship teams. That kind of dictates how many Championship teams within the standings are drawn into that playoff process. So 11th and 12th will likely suffer, or they'll be part of that playoff day on June 14th. So if and where possible, Nottingham Forest will be looking at 10th, they will be looking at 9th, potentially even 8th, and if they can finish in one of those 3 spots, they will confirm their status in the 25-26 campaign.
I'm just thinking, Ryan, for the new Power Chair football followers and listeners, explain the significance of finishing 3rd in the Championship.
Of course. So Villa Rockets Lions will have strong aspirations of finishing 3rd, and how our National League operates. Whoever finishes 3rd in the Championship, which is the 2nd league in our National League structure, will play whoever finishes 10th in the Premiership in a one-off playoff game for a single Premiership position for the following season. So it replicates the German league in the running game, in the top division's 10th place team playing the 3rd place team in the Championship. So it's something that is really intriguing and fascinating within the Power Chair Football National League. And whereas the season's gone by, it was always typically a formality that the Premiership team would secure their position in the following season via that playoff. Last season we saw the fairly unprecedented achievement of Norwich City as being the Championship team within that playoff fixture defeat the Premiership team in Nomad Knights. So it shows that teams finishing in 3rd have a real opportunity to secure promotion. And with the 1st and 2nd positions in the Championship being so closely locked up between GB Knights and Muscle Warriors, your Villa Rockets, your Manchester United, your Teesside Steels, if they're going to gain promotion, it's going to be via that 3rd place playoff.
3 teams sorry, 4 teams separated by 3 points.
Yeah.
Going for third at the moment. That's to highlight your point about what an incredible competitive season the Championship is. That just highlights that. Amazing.
And just for fullness, if the season was to end as it currently sits, certainly referencing the Premiership, the 10th place position in that is Nottinghamshire. So if we're taking it as it currently lies, so as it currently is, Manchester United are in third on 19 points. They would play Nottinghamshire, hypothetically, in a playoff game for one single Premiership spot, the loser of which would settle for the next season's Championship. As Naglish Montvillash takes it in reverse, closely marked by Ben Rogers, who ushers it out of play. We've had 18 minutes. Villa Rockets Lions 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Mason Hindley, the single goal scorer. Nothing to separate Hull and East Yorkshire and Manchester United on court A. As Dan Ball fires it goal bound, a crucial interception from Jack Bosanquet. Fires it into that right-hand post. Brilliant defending as they look to weather a very late storm. Going into the break, 1 goal down and 2 goals down are very different propositions for Steve Priestley and the Nottingham Forest team to try and overcome in the second. So they'll be desperately hoping they can prevent Mason Hindley and co from scoring in the final minute. Over to Dan Ball. Ben Rogers been brilliant, just breaking up them passing lanes. He's having a fantastic season, as is Jack Bosanquet, 2 probable standouts, and that is really unfortunate. I spoke about them trying to prevent that second goal from Villa Rockets Lions, and 30 seconds before the half-time break, the man I was just praising, Ben Rogers, turns the ball into his own net.
He looks gutted, but you know, he's put so many blocks in that half already. That is very unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is. Commiserations to Ben Rogers. I hope that doesn't let his head drop too much, because he's played a real key role in preventing Villa Rockets Lions. A Villa Rockets Lions team with some very technically proficient players, some of the best in the division. So I hope he's not too disheartened by that, and they can just regroup at the half-time break and come out with some ambition in the second. They're going to have to prevent Dan Ball from scoring a third here. Jack Bosanquet called into defensive duties with now 20 seconds or so over the regulation 20. Just be hoping for that half-time whistle to be blown. Naglish Montvillash with a very late chance to try and squeeze it in that right-hand post. Don't believe the ball has left play, so still live in that top right-hand corner. Back into Mason Hindley, attempt at goal, blocked by Ben Rogers, and that will be the last action of the first half. Just sprung into life in the final few minutes. But as you can see, Villa Rockets Lions 2-0 up. Just trying to fix the graphics on your screen. But that signals the half-time break. Thank you to all that are tuning in, to myself and Dean. We'll be back very shortly for the second half. Hello everyone and welcome back to the 24-25 Optegra Championship here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, and Dean Williams for the second half in Villa Rockets Lions versus Nottingham Forest, currently separated by 2 goals to the designated home team. Mason Hindley opening the scoring after 10 minutes. Ben Rogers with an unfortunate own goal in additional time. But a great fixture, a great matchup. Hoping for more action in the second half. Be interesting to see how Nottingham Forest shape up. Just quickly, while we're waiting for the teams to get ready, let's bring up the live league standing so you can see how this result on Court B, as well as the one on Court A, influence the table. And you'll see Manchester United currently 0-0 with Hull and East Yorkshire. Will go back above Teesside still to third. A win for them would see them have a 3-point buffer, which they'll want considering Villa Rockets Lions likely win here and their game in hand. So really significant for Nottingham Forest. They're on 7 points. A win for them here, although it's looking unlikely. Never say never. They would leapfrog Sale United in the standings, but they've got a slight buffer over Hull and East Yorkshire in on 6 points. But there's 3 distinct packs, as you can see. You've got first and second, GBG Knights and Muscle Warriors, both on 31 points apiece. Then you've got Manchester United, you've got Teesside Steel, you've got Villa Rockets Lions, you've got Leeds Dynamos, and you've almost even got West Bromwich Albion Dudley, all fighting it out for that 3rd place position. And then you've got Sale United down to AFC Bournemouth Warriors. So some real compelling battles and matchups in the Championship division. Let's clear the graphics. You'll see the teams are ready and waiting for our officials before we get things underway in this penultimate game of the day here in Nottingham. As already mentioned, for those just tuning in, following the day's action, we will be conducting the round 3 draw of the 24-25 John Good Group WFA Cup. Villa Rockets Lions are in the hat, as are Manchester United on Court A. When we're referencing Championship teams, you can also factor Muscle Warriors, GBG Knights and Leeds Dynamos into that conversation. So if and where possible, they'll be hoping to draw Championship opposition to give them their best opportunity to be present at the Derby Arena on May the 11th. But I cannot wait to see the matchups that are determined by Adam Walsh later today, and no doubt we will factor that into our conversations and our narratives of commentary tomorrow. As I've said several times today, should GBG Knights and Muscle Warriors maintain momentum and continue their faultless pursuits of that league title up until tomorrow afternoon, they face one another at 5 minutes to 2. What a matchup that will be. Both locked on 10 wins, 1 draw. So you don't want to say that it could determine the title, but based on how faultless they've been away from facing one another, it could be very significant.
That's a biggie.
It really is. Hindley, substitute at the half-time break, has seen Thomas Marshall be introduced in place of Dan Bull. I'll bring you confirmation of that change now. Nottingham Forest unchanged from the team that finished the first half. Montvillas and Mason Hindley just having a quiet conversation. Just a gentle, cushioned touch. And you can see what he was trying to do there. It drew Jack Bosanquet out. And Douglas Montvillas tried to find that gap in that right-hand post. It would have needed some laser precision to try and squeeze it between Bosanquet and the left-hand post. But on that occasion. Just wide, but a good opportunity nonetheless. Villa Rockets 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Thank you to all that are tuning in and commenting on the stream. Hope you're enjoying this one and have done so across the day. Mason Hindley into Naglish Montvillas, blocked initially by Jack Bosanquet. Thomas Marshall follows it up. Contact.
Can I quiz you, Ryan?
Of course you can.
It's slightly unfair, this one. I definitely don't know the answer to this, but has there been, just thinking about GBG Knights and Muscle Warriors, has there been an undefeated, invincible team that's gone on to win the league?
In the Championship?
Yeah. They're both, of course, in that position right now. Long way to go still.
To say... I want to say Greenbank.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
Greenbank in the 24-25 campaign. No, they lost one.
There you go.
GBG Knights, or Nomad Knights, formerly known as the season before, weren't unbeaten. Yeah, I would have to ask Jeff Lewis on that one. He's the statistician. The statistician.
Sorry, slightly unfair question.
No, a great one. I know Greenbank were fairly faultless. I think it was only a draw and a loss. All the others were wins. To amass 20 wins from 22 league games.
That's extraordinary. Speaks
to that dominance. Likewise with Nomad Knights the year prior. But in terms of a head-to-head battle, I don't think we've really seen something comparable to GBG Knights and Muscle Warriors for a long time.
I'll tell you what we could have. You know I love my first, but ultimately from a club perspective, it's possible to end the season with both of those teams being undefeated, of course.
If they maintain their faultless records away from facing one another, and the games in which they contest are end as a draw, then absolutely two invincibles. But then it would be so unlucky for either one of them not to lift that ultimate, wouldn't it, just trophy. GBG Knights, and my God, GBG Knights have a by and far favourable goal difference, more than double that of Muscle Warriors. They're now on plus 45 across their 11 games. So when you're talking about averages, they're averaging 4+ goals a game, which is, I don't want to say unprecedented, because anything's possible, but I will say it's very unlike. It's a bit of a shock because of the quality of football we're seeing in the Championship. And on that topic, it looks like Hull and East Yorkshire have taken the lead, not before Thomas Marshall fires the ball off the left-hand post. He's had 2 attempts at that in the last minute or so.
Hit the post both times.
Yeah.
The opposite post. That's a big goal.
Yeah,
on that cover call.
I apologise if we seem distracted. We're talking about that race for third and how Manchester United did have their grasp on it, certainly at present. A win for Hull and East Yorkshire would see Villa Rockets Lions have a real chance to leapfrog them. So yeah, at present, Teesside still bump up into third. They have been sensational today. 2 games, 2 wins, 6 goals scored, none conceded against some very good opposition. But it's just so closely contested. I did say prior to game week 3 commencing that I had Villa Rockets Lions as the favourites for that 3rd place position, just based on their momentum, the quality and the talent they have at their disposal. But who knows, as Naglish Montvillas lines it up. Brilliant save from Jack Bosanquet, put himself in a great position to prevent a 3rd goal.
So at the moment, with that goal on the other court from Hull and East Yorkshire, Teesside still, Villa Rockets Lions, Man United all tied on 18 points.
Yeah.
Wow.
At the conclusion of the game, I will bring the live league standings up. You can see from that graphic Hull and East Yorkshire, a goal to the good against Manchester United. I was really impressed with Hull and East Yorkshire earlier. Although they succumbed to a 3-1 defeat against Leeds Dynamos, they impressed me in terms of their structure, in terms of their setup, and their goal, their single goal of the game, was one of my favourites of the season so far. One of the best well-worked set-piece routines you're ever likely to see.
You're allowed to tell me off, Ryan, but I've just been distracted by an incredible save from Josh Slack on the other court to stop Hull from going 2-0 up. That could be crucial if they're going to get back into this game. Sorry, I'm being very distracted.
No, it's absolutely fine. Anyone that wants to watch that's also live on the WFA's YouTube channel. Dylan Palmer and Owen Swift calling the action live on that one. But you know how much I rate and appreciate Josh Slack. I think he's a sensational player, and hopefully he's getting the credit from the two commentators over on Court A. Here on Court B, fairly one-way traffic in the favour of Villa Rockets Lions. They've got a corner to try and score their third. Mason Hindley, the closest option. I suspect he'll act as the screen. Thomas Marshall will probably be the intended recipient of this Montvillas ball, which he is. Lines up a shot, fires it goal bound, just wide via a deflection off Ben Rogers,
who, despite that unfortunate own goal, has actually put in so many blocks in this game.
Excellent player. Him and Jack Bosanquet have established this fantastic understanding between them, and if it wasn't for that understanding, they wouldn't be where they are in the standings. And that's why ultimately we wanted to introduce the Unsung Hero of the Weekend award, a award that can shine a light on players that don't necessarily get the goals, don't necessarily get the assists, aren't competing towards the summit of the table, but are so crucial to the way their team plays and the small successes they have. And no, full credit to Jack and Ben. Excellent players that are developing fantastically. And I hope, irrelevant of the score, they can take huge positives from their performances. Douglas Montvillas to take. Once again, it was the Mason Hindley screen over to Thomas Marshall. This time it just nicks off the Nottingham Forest defence. I don't think Nikki Baker has had a single touch all game. I may be wrong, but she has been very isolated, which will be to the delight of both Brad Bates and Abby Bolt on the sidelines. Caroline Goldsborough signals for a substitute, which is going to take place prior to this corner kick being taken. It's just a reverse of the earlier substitute for Nottingham Forest. Gary Meakin on in place of Riley Priestley. Didn't quite have any real impact or influence on the game, which speaks to this brilliant press of Villa Rockets Lions, isolating them to attacking players. The job has been the job of preventing Villa Rockets Lions has been solely the responsibility of Ben Rogers and Jack Bosanquet. Sam Turner yet to feature for Villa Rockets Lions. Very versatile player. Montvillas, I suspect if they're able to find that third goal, we'll see Villa switch things up a little bit more. It's almost a cliche, but 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline. The next goal could be so crucial to dictating the momentum and the overall result. If Nottingham Forest can halve the deficit, it's game on. A third for Villa Rockets Lions would almost certainly secure them 3 points. We've got just over 8 minutes remaining. Speaking about how isolated Nikki Baker is, that just shows the lack of attacking intent Forest have managed to produce so far. kickoff from Mason Hindley. Blocked by Jack Bosanquet.
I've been really impressed, and I've not seen much of him up close, but Montvillas, creativity and intellect in this game. He's controlled it pretty much. He's been fantastic in this game.
He's a sensational player. When you're talking about a calibre of a player that's competed at European Championships, that's competed at World Cups, he's probably the biggest name competing within the Championship.
Yeah.
Pleasure to watch and commentate him in Sydney back in 2023. He'll no doubt be central to the Republic of Ireland's plans at this season, at this year's Nations Cup in Italy and beyond. So it's a real coup for Brad Bates to acquire him as he just comes off the court now. And I think he's the difference maker. He wasn't present in game week 1, where I said they struggled. Since his acquisition, they've looked a different side, and that's the nature of power chair football. 4-a-side format, one player comprises 25% of your playing squad. So
yeah.
if that one player is a significant player with the technical and tactical abilities that plays a central role, it's not just 25%. It's the influence is far greater. As Sam Turner now has his first touch of the game. I'll bring confirmation of them substitutes. Now Sam Turner on in place of Naglish Montvillas. Dan Ball on in place of Thomas Marshall. Dan Ball into the side of Ben Rogers. Talk about Nicky Baker not having a touch. I think the same statement can be applied to Finley Cooper as well.
Yeah, I think so. It seemed to have a few chair issues there in the first half, didn't he?
Ushered out a play from Jack Bosanquet. 5 minutes to go. Villa Rockets Lions 2. Nottingham Forest 0. Sam Turner fires it into the box. Gary Meakin trying to desperately catch up to that ball, unable to do so. Again, I really want to emphasise, irrelevant of the scoreline, that looks like is going to go in favour of Villa Rockets Lions. From the outside looking in, you have to appreciate this effort from Nottingham Forest. Certainly, if you apply the context of their performances, both in this season and of seasons gone by, a completely different looking team that's benefiting from a stable cohort of players that are hard working and understand each other's games. Just wide. These two faced one another twice last season, ending 4-0 and 2-1 to Villa Rockets Lions. So it shows that there wasn't necessarily the expectation for Forest to get anything from this, but
there's definitely that resilience defensively that you talked about, Ryan, but they've not, in truth, they've to what you said about Nicky Baker and the gut, they're just not. There's not enough being done, is there? In this game, in that part of the court, they haven't looked likely, have they? They haven't looked likely.
It'll be a tough day for them tomorrow. They kick things off against league leaders GBG Knights. That'll be the real test of that defensive stability. Their second game of the day against Sale United. Again, you're probably favouring the Manchester-based side in that one. But considering the fact that Nottingham Forest were able to get that historic win over Manchester United in game week 2, hopefully that they can try and replicate that level of performance tomorrow. Good pick off from Mason Hindley to Dan Ball. Switches the play to Sam Turner. Just in front of him. Unable to keep it in play. Right intent from Dan Ball.
We've kind of, again, there's a few seconds left on the other court, but we've referenced what this result means and how tight it is at the top of the table. But just think for a minute, that goal from Hull and East Yorkshire, it's taken them out of the bottom 3.
Yeah, huge result. I do also want to highlight the goal scorer, Harrison Smith. Such a bright young player that I've watched a few times. He came on late on against Leeds Dynamos earlier, and although he had 1 or 2 involvements, they were very crucial, very encouraging involvements. So he will be delighted. It's deep into regulation, additional time, on that one. You'll hear the Lee Westwood Sports Centre erupt if they can get that over the line. You'd expect them to do so here on Court B. Final minute, Villa Rockets Lions will get 3 points. Hindley into the back of Sam Turner, fired up the court by Ben Rogers. I think I have to give credit to Mason Hindley for this game. They just haven't managed to bypass him. And on that topic, I'd like you to let me know who your player of the match is.
I mean, I mentioned him a few minutes ago. He's taken there's that eruption on the other court.
Yeah.
So sorry for the sound effect there in the background, but Montvillas, I've been incredibly impressed. And you just talked about Mason Hindley. I think he's been so solid. However, sometimes when it comes down to creativity and making things happen, I think Montvillas has been behind all of that. I've been very, very impressed with what I've seen from him today. So he gets my steer of player of the match on this one.
No, absolutely echo that. Congratulations to Naglish Montvillas. It is all over on Court A. Hull and East Yorkshire with a huge win over Manchester United. On this one, we've just ticked over into additional time. As mentioned, I will show you the live league standings as soon as Mark Kerrison blows for full time, and you'll see how this result and that result impacts the table. Just a glance at the watch from our referee. Professional performance from Villa Rockets Lions to get 3 points in their pursuit of that 3rd place playoff. Gary Meakin was surely the last touch of the game. Not before a 2-on-1 awarded in favour of Nottingham Forest. Turner, and that signals the end of the game. Villa Rockets Lions 2, Nottingham Forest 0. It was Mason Hindley opening the scoring after 10 minutes and a late own goal from Ben Rogers in the first half. They couldn't inflict further damage in the second, and I think for that we owe some praise to Ben Rogers and Jack Bosanquet. What everyone's waiting for, the live league standings. You'll see that result for Manchester United sees them dip from 3rd down to 5th. A win for Villa Rockets Lions here sees them leapfrog them. Teesside Steel, Villa Rockets Lions and Manchester United all locked on 18 points apiece. Villa Rockets Lions do have a game in hand that's worth noting. So if they win that, they will have bragging rights at the conclusion of game week 3. But don't discount Leeds Dynamos from that conversation. They also have a game in hand. And if they win that, they will go into 3rd. So significant, so many talking points, so much drama. And what a season we're having in the 24-25 Optegra Championship. Thank you to all that have tuned in, to myself and Dean Williams. I think we are back on commentary for the final game of the day on Court B, Sale United versus AFC Bournemouth Warriors. Hope you can join us for that one.
Super.